Hello friends, welcome to Shauna Stitches. I'm Shauna and this is my crafty podcast where I talk about all the things that I've been working on lately. Today is a special episode. It is the recap of 2022 projects. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Shauna Stitches, and if you would like and subscribe to my channel, that would be greatly appreciated. I'm going to dive right into it. There was no way I could gather all these projects to show you, as many have been given away and some probably have no idea where they are. So I'm going to insert pictures and everything, and that should make this video go by just a little bit quicker. Before we get into actual projects, I'm just going to tell you about a quick recap of how many of each item I knit this year. I finished 16 pairs of socks, 1 pair of mittens, 2 sweaters, 6 hats, 1 cardigan, 4 shawls, 1 tank top, and 3 cowls for a total of 34 projects. In total, I knit 20,626 yards and 5,081 grams. So that is quite a year, I would say. I'm going to go ahead and dive right in, and I'm going to go through the projects that I finished in the order that I finished them in. Not all of these projects were started in 2022. Many of them were started in 2021 or before, but some of them were new, but this is just when I finished them. So the very first project that I cast on and finished in January of 2022 were what I'm calling the slip stitch stripe socks. The yarn was from Zebra Yarns, and I cannot remember the name of the knit along that we were doing, but it was something about bright, happy colors in January, kind of like lifting our spirits after the holidays with the cold weather. The next pair of socks that I finished were a pair of DRK Everyday socks that I made out of hand spun yarn that I spun myself. They're in a purple color. Next, I finished a pair of DRK Everyday socks, baby size, and the pattern does not go to a newborn size, so I was able to modify that. Those were a gift to, of course I'm blanking on names. Those were a gift to Emily from Between Knits and Pearls for her baby James. And I knit a second pair, which will show up in the pictures in just a bit. The next pair of socks that I finished were Gadsden DK weight socks. I think I did those as a test knit for Andre Sue Knits, and I think she ended up changing the name, but that was the working name. I don't know what the actual name is, but if you look down below, there are links to all the finished project pages. So if you have questions, the answer is probably there. If for some reason you still have a question or can't access Ravelry, then just go ahead and leave me a comment and ask me a question. I'm more than happy to answer. The next finished object is a pair of opal scrappy DRK Everyday socks. If you haven't noticed a trend yet, DRK Everyday socks are kind of the sock of 2022 for me. I knit these out of the little 10-gram opal minis that you can get, and those were a lot of fun. Next up were a pair of scrappy stripy socks that I made for my husband. The scrappy stripy socks are based on a pattern or a recipe that Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady has come out with. I use the DRK Everyday sock as the base, and I knit these toe up. That way it didn't matter how big my stripes for the foot were, I was able to make the correct foot length. And I find that to work the best for me. It's very funny because I always used to be a cuff down sock knitter, and I do enjoy cuff down, but I'm finding that there's a purpose or a reason for the toe up as well. It kind of just depends on what mood I'm in. All right. Then I knit the second pair of DRK Everyday baby socks that I mentioned. Same for Emily and her baby James, just in a different color. And then I knit a pair of scrappy stripy socks for me, just like my husband's, different colors, but same idea. I knit both my husband and I the Straya hat by Andrew Mowry, and that was for her May knit along. I can't remember what it's called, spring knit along. Then I knit the Oregon Coast Shetland shawl. This is the very first time I've ever knit Shetland lace, and also the first time I ever put beads into a project. Both were not near as difficult as I thought they might be, so that was, it's always good to push your boundaries and learn new things. Not necessarily something I am looking to do anytime soon. I didn't dislike it. It's just not really something that I am likely to wear very often. And then I finished the Ripple camisole in yarn that I love, but it just doesn't fit. I started ripping back to make modifications and then just set it aside because I was having difficulties. And honestly, I haven't done it yet, but I think that is getting frogged. So that's the first project that I finished that probably will not be long for finished objects. Next up, I finished the Boxy sweater, which is a pattern by Joji Locatelli. And I think I started this before we went on our Mexico trip, but I definitely finished it while we were there. And I had a lot of dedicated knitting time, but it knit up surprisingly fast for such a large sweater with so much fabric. Then I finished my husband's Gramps cardigan. This was, I think, my oldest WIP that I finished in 2022. I had originally started it in August of 2018. That was a very old WIP. Surprisingly enough, my gauge was close enough. I had enough yarn. I was able to finish it, no problem. In fact, I can't remember now. I either had a sleeve or maybe both sleeves to go and pockets, and that was it. So yeah, I don't know why it took me so long, but I'm very happy to have it off the needles. The next two projects I finished were both hats. I finished a barley hat, which is patterned by Tin Can Knits, and also a Reiki hat. I can never get the saying of this one or the pronunciation of this one right, but I finished both of those in cotton blend yarns for a friend of mine that was going through chemo treatments, and she greatly appreciated those. Then I finished a pair of Rainbow Connection socks by Kay the Crazy Sock Lady for my father-in-law. He loves them. And I finished a pair of Rain or Shine socks, which I believe are the very first sock pattern that Stephen West came out with. I really enjoyed knitting those. Then I finished my shawlography, which was the 2021 Mystery Knit Along by Stephen West. I finished that in 2022, right before the 2022 Mystery Knit Along started, so at least I didn't have both on the needles at the same time. And then I finished a sock head cowl out of black cashmere yarn and mohair, which I made to wear at work. I have to wear a uniform. I can only have certain colors and that sort of thing. So I've already worn that this year, and I can tell you it is by far the most useful and best thing I have ever knit, ever. It looks so boring. It's all black, not exciting at all, but so warm. And when it is just freezing and windy, rainy, nasty out, it is so comforting. So I really am happy that I slogged through all that black yarn to make that. Next up, I finished a Musselburgh hat in purple colors. And then I started and finished the Twists and Turns Mystery Shawl. Again, that's the Stephen West 2022 Mystery Knit Along. I finished a pair of vanilla socks for a friend. I finished the bubble cowl using all scraps, that's a pattern by Stephen West. And I love that thing. It's so squishy and warm. I haven't really had the occasion to wear it outdoors very much, but I'm looking forward to it being that cold so I can actually wear it because it's really awesome. I think, DRK everyday socks are sort of the pattern I use the most, but the most useful thing I knit this year were Cowls. I really love Cowls. In fact, I like them more than Shawls. If there was a way to modify Shawls sort of more obviously, or like there was always a way that you could do it easily, I think I would turn every shawl that I own into a cowl because I just find them that much more useful. All right, the next thing I finished were a pair of purple and blue socks for my mother-in-law. I was able to give these to her when we went to Arizona, and sadly, they do not fit her. Previously, I had been basing on whether or not the sock fit me. I was pretty sure it would fit her. She has slightly longer feet, but also I'm finding also wider feet. She said they did not fit her, but she plans on giving them to her daughter. So hopefully they will fit her. That makes me kind of sad. But I am eager to cast on another pair of socks for her and see how they fit better. Currently, I use the same needle and stitch count as I have for mine, which is a 2.25 millimeter, 64 stitches. And I'm going to go up to a 2.5 millimeter with 64 stitches. And I'm excited to see how she likes that, but I'm also excited to try it on for myself and see what I think, because I might also like that gauge. The only bad thing about that would be is I have so many 2.25 millimeter needles, I would be really sad. I guess I could always just knit a few more stitches at a lesser gauge, but bigger gauge means I get finished sooner, so I like that idea. Okay. Then I cast on and finished a Love Note sweater. This was a knit along that was hosted by Professor Pearl, Nicole, my fellow Oregonian. And I really enjoyed this project. I was super blessed because she picked me as the winner. I still haven't received my prize, which is totally fine. Nicole, if you're watching this, no pressure. I'm just super excited to have been the winner. It's exciting. Then I finished the Travel Mode 2.0, and this is a pattern by Suzanne Summer. And I knit this out of a 2021 advent that I had from, so much to remember off the top of my head, A Yarn to Die For Designs. And I won another knit along with this one. I cannot believe it, but I won the Volenvine knit along that she was having, and 4 skeins of yarn. So that was very exciting. Next, I knit a pair of bear paw socks. Now, these turned out way too big for me. They're the DK version of the DRK Everyday Socks. And because the DRK Everyday Socks fit me so well, I really had no concerns that these were not going to fit. However, when I put them on, they were way too big. So when I went to Arizona, I gifted them to my mother-in-law. I told her I thought they were still going to be too big for her because they were quite large on me. Come to find out, she says they fit perfectly. They're her best fitting socks. So although the blue and purple ones didn't work out for her, these did. So all was not lost. But that kind of gave me more of an idea of like what size to start knitting for her, because to me those seemed very large. I look forward to knitting another pair of those bear paw socks, modifying it slightly and trying to get a pair that will fit me, because I do have a pair of boots that I really do like DK weight socks in, and I would like to have more pairs in my collection. I'm trying to think. I have maybe, for sure I have one because I've already showed you those, and I think I knit one before that, so I only have a couple pairs, so definitely need more. Then I finished a pair of vanilla socks for my father-in-law. He was gifted those while we were in Arizona. He loves them. Luckily, his fit. I would have been super sad if they both didn't fit. And then we are to my Advent projects. I finished the Gumdrop Mittens, which is a pattern by Devin Ventry, knit out of her 2022 DK Weight Advent. I knit the Gumdrop hat out of the same Advent set and the Gumdrop cowl. And just 2 projects to go. Whew, I feel like this is a lot. The next finished object I had were the Cozy Knitter 2022 Advent socks. And the very last one that I finished today, December 31st, were my 2021 Mint Rain Advent socks. So yes, they are finished. Better late than never. So there you go. Those are my 34. Did I say 34? Yes, 34 finished objects of 2022. And just to recap, that was 20,626 yards and 5,081 grams. So there's 2022. Let's think about 2023. I would love to knit as much as I did in 2022. More would be wonderful. But I have so many projects currently on the needles in various stages of being cast on, from very new projects to almost finished projects. And so starting in 2023, my intention is going to be to start working on those projects that are already on the needles. For one, I've been having the thought lately that I need to buy more needles, when that is not the case. I do not need to buy more needles. I need to free up my needles. So that would be good to have my needles available and ready to go for any project that I want to cast on. And also, I think I will be able to get quite a lot of yardage and grams added up more quickly than if I were just starting those projects from scratch. So I mentioned in my previous video that I do have the plan of casting on the Desert Vista Dye Works monthly socks. So that will be a new cast on every single month. I do have a couple of other projects that I plan on doing. Of course, the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along I plan on doing. There might be other things in there that I'm just not thinking of at the moment. But my main goal is to use Stash, which a ton of people are setting their goal for 2023. I feel like more than ever have before, and I'm not really sure why that is. I think a lot of us have accumulated a lot over the last couple of years, especially I know during the pandemic, we were wanting to help out dyers, but also, the economy is not fantastic right now, so that might be playing a role. For me personally, I have found I get so much joy out of buying yarn, probably as much joy as knitting and or finishing the project. Like I love searching for the yarn. I love getting a good deal. I love matching the yarn to a project, but I have done that so many times now that I have enough yarn for many, many, many projects. So my other intention, other than finishing, things that I already have on the needles in 2023, is to learn to say no. I need to say no to FOMO, no to one-of-a-kind colorways, no to shops closing permanently and really good sales, no to nitpick sales, just no, 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 no. It sucks to say no. I want to be involved in everything. I enjoy doing knit-alongs. I enjoy supporting dyers that I like. I enjoy finding a good deal. I really do. And I enjoy getting the yarn in the mail, receiving the package. I enjoy all of these things. But I think it's time to start celebrating the wins that we get other than just buying yarn. So, maybe that's finding enough yarn in our stash to create a project that isn't necessarily supposed to be multicolor, but we can make it that way and still make something wearable. Or maybe we had yarn set aside for a certain project, but a new project comes out that we really like, and so we're able to modify that and change our plans from what they were. So that's my goal. Hopefully we will all be successful. I can't remember who it is who has posted on Instagram. There's both a graphic and a hashtag, which I will put here if I remember. And the hashtag is about using 2023 grams in 2023. So that should be no problem for me because I had double that this year. So hopefully that all works out. Some of those projects, I had a yarn held double, so it counts double, but there's nothing saying that I can't have that this year too. So that being said, what are your intentions for 2023? I would love to hear where you are. Are you stashing up? Are you stashing down? Are you clearing your needles, casting on all the new things? There's so many different thoughts behind it all. I know there's Rainbow Ange, who, is it Angela? I think it's Angela. She has a YouTube channel, and every year she casts on 12 new projects at the beginning of the year and then works on those throughout the year and maybe even into the next year. That, to me, I could go ahead and go find 12 whips and set those aside instead of casting on new projects. And maybe that's not the case for everyone else, but to cast on 12 new things right now is just not going to work for me. So anyhow, I would love to hear your comments, feedback. What are you doing? And let's have a wonderful 2023 together. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.